In the elder days, before kings raised their banners and before men had learned to write the names of their god, there existed an island beyond the reach of mortal kingdoms. Its mountains were blackened by age, its rivers flowed with molten stone, and beneath its soil slept a fire that had burned since the beginning of the world. This was Fire King Island, the sacred domain of the Fire Kings. Upon that land lived creatures greater than beasts and older than kingdoms. They were the children of flame, guardians of law, older than mankind itself. Among them stood their sovereign, Garunix, the sacred Fire King. His wings were vast enough to darken the sun, and his cry shook the mountains from their foundation. His body burned with a fire that no mortal hand could extinguish. Yet, Garunix possessed a secret that was known only to the oldest Fire Kings. He could not truly die. When his body was destroyed, his ashes returned to the earth. When his flames were extinguished, a single ember remained beneath the ruins. And from that ember the king would rise again. Thus was the sacred law of the Fire King. Destruction was not the end. It was the beginning. For countless generations, they lived according to this eternal cycle. They burned, they fell, and they returned. Their island was destroyed and reborn alongside them, its volcanoes serving as both temple and throne. Yet, far beyond the burning mountains, another flame had begun to awaken. It was a flame unlike that of the Fire Kings. It did not rage. It did not consume. It held. Within its crimson light, things that should have been destroyed could instead be transformed and sealed away. Creatures touched by it could become vessels of fire, their existence preserved within a strange and terrible prison. The ancient sages gave this power many names, but the oldest records called it only one thing: the flame of the serpent. From this mysterious fire came the beings known as the Snake Eyes. Among the first of these was Ash, a small creature whose appearance concealed the power sleeping within her. She was the spark from which greater flames could arise, a living catalyst through which the power of the snake-eyed could spread. Near her grew Poplar, born from a mysterious tree touched by the crimson fire. Where Ash was the spark, Poplar was the flame that carried it onward. Together they wandered through the world that did not know yet and understand yet their purpose. For those snake eyes were not creatures of simple destruction. Their power was transformation. They could take what stood before them and change its very nature, turning what was once living and free into something bound to the crimson flame. And in time, from among these beings arose one whose power eclipsed the others. A dragon of immense size, a creature whose body burned with scarlet fire and whose presence commanded the flames themselves. Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon. Flamberge became a guardian of the Snake Eyes and a symbol of their growing strength. Where he appeared, the crimson fire followed. And wherever the crimson fire spread, nothing remained untouched. But the Snake Eyes did not rule through destruction alone, no. They collected, they transformed, they preserved. Everything they claim became part of something greater. Thus, their power grew. Yet, there was one who understood the true nature of these flames better than any other. A wandering witch who had long abandoned the kingdoms of men. Her name was Diabel Star, the Black Witch. She traveled the forgotten places of the world in search of forbidden relics known as the sinful spoils, treasures whose power had been buried by those who feared what would happen should they ever be awakened again. Among them was a relic bound to the crimson flames, the original sinful spoils, Snake Eye. The Eyeball Star carried its secrets with her as she crossed the ancient world, never fully revealing whether she thought to command the flames, sought to understand it, or simply survive it. For even she knew that some powers were not meant to belong to a single master. And then came the day when the two flames met. The crimson light of the Snake Eyes reached a border of the Fire King Island. At first, the Fire Kings believed it to be nothing more than another fire, but Garanix knew otherwise. From the summit of the sacred volcano, the ancient king gazed upon the distant crimson glow. He felt something unfamiliar with it. The snake-eye flame did not obey the cycle. It did not destroy so that something might rise again. No, it preserved what it conquered. And yet beneath the difference, Garanis sensed something else, a kinship. For both flames were born from destruction, both carried the power to transform, and both possessed the ability to return what had been lost. The ancient king understood what the others did not. These flames were not destined to destroy each other. They were destined to become one. And so Garunix descended from the mountain. The Fire Kings gathered behind their sovereign. The Snake Eyes answered with their own. Ash emerged from the crimson fire. Poplar followed. Flamberge spread his immense wings across the burning sky. And Diabel Star stood at the edge of the battlefield, watching the two powers approach one another. For a moment, neither side moved. The Fire Kings knew only the law of rebirth, while the Snake Eyes knew only the law of transformation. Then Garunix opened his wings, and instead of attacking, he offered his flame. The crimson fire of the Snake Eyes met the sacred fire of the Fire Kings. The heavens erupted, red and gold became one. The mountains trembled, not from war, no, but from the birth of something new. The Fire King discovered that the Snake Eyes could preserve the power of those who had fallen. The Snake Eyes discovered that the Fire Kings could return what had been destroyed. And thus, the two ancient flames completed one another. The Fire Kings gave the Snake Eyes the power of rebirth, and the Snake Eyes gave the Fire Kings the power of preservation. What one destroyed, the other could preserve. What one preserved, the other could restore. Death no longer meant an end. No, destruction was no longer the meaning of oblivion. The two flames became bound by a single law. Nothing given to the fire shall ever truly be lost. From that day onward, the Fire Kings and the Snake Eyes no longer stood as enemies. They became allies beneath the same burning sky. Garunix remained the ancient sovereign, the incarnation of destruction and rebirth, while Flamberge became the guardian of the Crimson Flame, preserving the power gathered by the Snake Eyes. Ash carried the first spark between the two peoples. Poplar allowed the sacred fire to spread, and Diabellstar walked between their realms, carrying knowledge that belongs to neither kingdom alone. Yet the alliance came at a price. For the greater their power became, the more dangerous the flame grew. The Fire Kings could destroy entire realms. The Snake Eyes could preserve the essence of those realms within their crimson fire. Together, they possessed something neither had ever held alone: the power to destroy and restore. And with that power came a terrible responsibility. For the Essence Sages had returned. Beware the flame that destroys without mercy. But beware even more the flame that refuses to let anything die. Thus the Fire King and the Snake Eyes forged an eternal covenant. When the world was threatened, the Fire Kings would unleash their fury. When the fallen needed to be preserved, the Snake Eyes would gather them into the Crimson Flame. When the destruction came, rebirth would follow. When death came, nothing would be truly lost. And when the flame of both kingdoms burned together, even the oldest enemy of the world would tremble. For upon Fire King Island, beneath the eternal volcanoes, two ancient powers now stood as one. The golden flame of Garunix burns beside the crimson flame of Flamberge. Ash rested beneath the shadow of the great dragon. Poplar grew among the sacred embers. And somewhere beyond the mountain, Diabellstar continued her endless journey, carrying the secrets of the sinful spoils into land yet untouched by the crimson fire. The world would come to fear their names. Some would call them monsters, some would call them gods, some would call them destroyers, others would call them saviors. But the oldest book tell a different truth. They were neither. They were simply the two halves of the same ancient flames. One destroys, one preserves, one dies, one remembers, and together they rise again. So as long as the volcano burns, the king shall return. So long as the crimson flame remains, the serpent shall remember. And as so long as both fires burn as one, the ancient covenant shall never be broken. What's up, Islander? I hope you're doing well. I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you for watching this video till the end. It really means a lot. A dark wizard. I'm just saying, probably will be around that, but you can tell me what you'd like to hear with dark wizard. I'm just saying, probably will be around that, but you can tell me what you'd like to hear, which archetype. And I'll see you Wednesday for the combo on the Fire King Snake Eyes from my deck. And Friday will be the gameplay. So please subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot. Like the video, share the video. I'll see you next time. I'll see you Wednesday. Islander out. Peace.